So it's cool to have the VR6 and the rare Jetta until you need some of those rare parts and you can't get them anymore. So I was having some issues with my VW cooling system, and the part that's failing right now is this plastic piece right here. You see that water, how it's coming out the side right onto my finger there? And I can't get this part, impossible to find. So the only thing I can think to do is either find another part and connect these two hoses and delete the feed that goes to the throttle body, which I can't find a piece to do that yet either. So right now we're going to JB weld this, and then that'll work for now. So right now I have the ODB11 scan tool hooked up to it, and just sitting here idling, we're pulling 107 degree intake temperatures. Let's see if we can pull up some coolant temp. So one thing I've been trying to figure out is if my fans are working or not. I know the fans work, they have power both at high and low speed. Oh, there we go. Okay, so doing something completely different. I've just found out that my fans are turning on and high. Here's another reason the hose clamp pliers work a little bit better than the smaller channel locks. So I can't fit these down in here right now. Even if you flip them around, it just doesn't fit with the battery, and you can fit those. So we'll be able to do it with the special pliers. And I just wanted to show you that because it might help somebody. And you don't have to squeeze it, it's just got that clamp open. You can go either way with it, on the hose or onto the plastic. We'll leave it on the plastic on this one. And then you just back the ratchet thing off. So this is the part we need. I ordered this one for $10 just to take a chance. It didn't look like the one I needed in the pictures online, but maybe we could get lucky. So this fits this hose here, doesn't fit the other side. This is our problem here, it's leaking right here. This is just some glue I put on there, and I knew this glue was only good to 180 degrees, so that didn't work, and it still bubbles out. So that's just the manufacturing spot where the plastic connects, and then they break it off of the mold. And you can't see any leak on the inside, it's just a real small pinhole. And right now the only option is some JB weld, because you can't find this part number 1J0121-087L. The only ones you can find end in B, and that'll get you this part. I'm going to try to find, the problem is it goes from one size to another size, and that's how they get you. So we've got some parts here in storage. So if I can find something like this that goes from 1.5 inches to 1.25 inches, because that's what this is, then we can just delete this. Everyone else is deleting it. I'm pretty sure you don't need it. There's two ways to do it here. If we could find this part, then I would keep the throttle body feed, but just bypass the throttle body and leave it going back to the jug, because I don't know if that's a pressure relief. Because if there's pressure in these hoses, it can go through there and back into the jug. See, I could poke through with my finger right now if I really wanted to, but we can't do that until I get another part. Scrape all of our steel in, and scrape all of our hardener in. When it starts sticking to the screwdriver, you know it's time. Sets in 4 to 6 hours, cures in 15 to 24 hours. So I've got a patch on the outside and a little paste on the inside there. I think that's in about the right spot for the outside. So that's all you can do, I guess, if you can't find the parts. So alright, so 12:04. We gave it 25 hours and it says 15 to 24 hour cure time. So we can put this back in. And I didn't want to put it back in before the cure time because the water was going to get on the inside. And so I think our only weak point was at that little manufacturing mark. So we'll use this, we'll order the billet aluminum one. So because of this one little leak, we ended up fixing a bunch of things, which is kind of weird. We did the fan control module, the radiator temperature switch, the coolant reservoir. we found out that the hose coming out of the throttle body, that old hose, was clogged. So we would have never found that if we weren't working on this down here. So everything sort of happens for a reason. And we know our fans are working now, which is good. Pretty happy about that. Highs and low speeds. Our AC compressor's kicking on, so we just have to get the gauges hooked up, and we're probably going to have working AC soon. Here's a perfect example of why you should not delete your coolant reservoir like the car show guys. This is brand new. I think I washed it out already once since I put it in the last week. You know, just working on the coolant system every time I drain it. So I looked in here again, a little bit of stuff in the bottom. So I take it out and I'm going to go rinse that out. And it's made to catch that stuff in the bottom because of the way there's like a little trap in there. So if you just delete this and you're just running it through your system constantly, this will help, you know, prevent all them chunks of broken up plastic or corroding metal that's flaking off. They'll get caught in here. So we're back up and running. I just drove it about 50 miles with the JB Weld repair, and there's no leaks, no drips, so everything's good there for now. So hopefully that helps someone maybe fix their coolant leaks. Because I know you always look for the obvious thing like a bad hose or What's up? So hopefully that helps someone. I know it can be tough to find the coolant leaks all the time because you're looking for obvious things like a bad hose or a bad clamp. But we already replaced the hose and the clamp and it's still leaking. And I would put my hand down here and it would seem like it's leaking right at the clamp, but turns out it's leaking through solid plastic. So sometimes you're going to have to deal with weird magical Harry Potter shit like that. But we ordered up our race car parts from ICT Billet. This is surprisingly light. If I didn't know any better, I would think it's plastic. So that goes 1.25 to 1.5 double barbed ends. So the hardware store has the barbs on one end, and they had the right size, but the other end will be threaded for like regular plumbing and stuff, and that's all this is. And this is way heavier of a part. This is probably 10 times heavier than that, maybe more. But this will get you by in a pinch if you need to bypass your heater core or something. Just pick it up from the hardware store, but you definitely want the good race car aluminum lightweight parts on here. So we're running the JB Weld part for now. We have our throttle body bypassed, and that's just up here. I'm making a separate video on that to show everybody how useless the cold air intakes are, because you're sending hot water to your throttle body to heat it up anyways. A lot of people don't know that. But the one thing I don't know is if I put this piece in here and delete that line, would there be a pressure problem down here in the radiator, because this ultimately flows back to your coolant jug. But if that fails and leaves us stranded on the side of the road, at least we have the right part now to connect those two hoses.